So let's talk about routines. Before bed, it is very important, especially for children that have a really hard time resting, and don't change your routine if it's working. Please don't take what I'm saying out of context. If your routine works for your child, don't change it, because that will just confuse the child and everybody's gonna get stressed out, and we don't want that. If it's not working, your bedtime routine is not working for your child and they're having a hard time with the routine, these are some tips that you can try. First off, at least an hour before going to bed, get rid of TV and the screen devices. The flashing of the LED lights will help stimulate the brain and will in turn will get your child a little more alert, and that's kind of the opposite of what you want to do at that time. You want to do restful activities like beading, Play-Doh, sensory play will really help in calming the child's mind, as well as setting their bodies up and minds up for going into rest time. Now, think about the theater, for example. One thing I like to do in my class is set the scene. So during lunchtime, so you can do this during dinner or whatever time of day that they are experiencing before bed, I like to set up the scene. So I will dim lights and put on, I have a lot of LED battery operated candles, so it makes it look all nice and cozy, some twinkle lights. Some places I've worked, I've used the diffuser with lavender. Other places don't allow that, and I totally respect that. So that's up to you if that's what you want to do with your child. Other things you can do to set up the scene is just having calming music in the background, or like meditation stories beforehand. Anything that you find is relaxing in your environment. I've even done, like, while they're eating, I've done like centerpieces just to show respect for the child. So like a centerpiece of like a little vase with a flower and a candle beside it, not a real candle. Or I had a student that made fairy lights in a jar, so it was just like a tiny string of lights stuffed into a mason jar. It was a really great idea, very handy. It did give off a really nice calming vibe. While your child is in bed during rest time, I suggest trying some isochronic tones. This really stimulates the brain subconsciously, and there's different types of tones, and maybe I'll make a video about all the different like alpha and beta tones and what they are used for, since I use them a lot in the classrooms. But there are some isochronic tones out there that help with relief of anxiety, and stimulating the brain enough that, or like dimming the vibrations in the brain so that they'll fall asleep. Tons of other things like that. I will do a whole entire video on that concept. It's a long explanation and it deserves its own video. So after the routine, say you have sat there with your child, we've read 2 books, and you go, okay, it's time for rest. I'm going to leave, you're going to stay here and either read your books or snuggle with your stuffies and listen to music while I go and rest myself. It's important for everyone to get rest so that we can have a fun day tomorrow. Say your child is melting down, they don't want you to leave. No, don't leave. I want you to stay here, come snuggle me, fall asleep with me. So the first thing that we need to remember about meltdowns is it is not about you, it is about them. They most likely are grieving the really fun day they had with you, because who wants that to end? Not me. So they are going through those emotions of grieving the day and the fun that they had. So like I've said in previous videos, acknowledge the feeling. That's all I want, is for you to know and acknowledge them. So saying things calmly like, I see you don't want me to leave. It is time for rest. you're going to stay in your bed, read your books, listen to your music. I'm gonna go rest myself. It's important for everyone to get rest, and we will see you in the morning and we will have a very fun day, but we need to rest first. Saying things like this will help acknowledge their feelings. It might not diminish the meltdown right off the bat, but consistently just acknowledging it. I would say repeat yourself maybe 2 or 3 times, and if they still are melting down and getting out of bed after that, just take them by the hand and bring them back to bed. Not saying anything, just calmly, and just not feeding into that stimulation, because eventually they'll learn to self-regulate, and it's really important for them to self-regulate. It's not ignoring them, like you're not shutting the door and ignoring their cries. You have acknowledged their feelings more than once, and you're supporting them in their journey of grief and getting over their feelings and working through them. So if you can look at it like that, it is not just like letting them cry it out. I don't believe in that. I don't support that, especially with infants. Like, that's a big no in my books. You do you. I'm not judging you. I just don't do that in my infant classrooms. But for the older children, it is okay to let them learn to self-regulate, and it may be a little bit of a meltdown, but you have acknowledged their feelings and you have given them all of their needs are met. They're fed, they're watered, they've gone to the bathroom. Like, you've met all of their needs and you've given them a roof over their head, and you are doing an amazing job. So giving them this time to learn to self-regulate is an amazing time for them, and it is difficult. And I do remember as a child myself struggling with that. I think my mom was very, very amazing at acknowledging my feelings as well. And I would sometimes have meltdowns and it would only last like 2 minutes. And then I would be like, oh, like, I think I had a book of stickers and like a blanket that was fancy blanket thing hanging above my bed, and I would just put stickers on it, and like I just did weird things to calm myself down. But I remember those times so vividly, and I've learned so much about how to calm myself. I think that is an important piece of what we're missing for children, and this is a really golden time to do that, to have that rest time and to not have that expectation of getting to that mind state and just having restful time, because eventually you're going to sleep, because no one can just sit by themselves and read their book for like 8 hours. It's just not going to happen. They're going to pass out and they're going to have a great sleep, and they're going to wake up in the morning and they're going to jump into your bed and snuggle you and be happy. And because when I'm at work and I'm doing that stuff for the children, and for the most part I'm sitting in the room, of course, beside whoever needs me at the time, but the other children that are just resting across the room, like, they sleep and then they wake up and they're like, Miss Amber, and they come and they snuggle me. Like, I didn't hurt their feelings because I left them alone. For the most part, they understand my expectation. I've never had anybody really melt down when I just set that rest time expectation. I think they get kind of excited about playing by themselves and doing their own thing. Children that are really quiet, sometimes I'll let them sleep beside a friend, and they'll whisper to each other, and that's cool too. But yeah, I went on a bit of a tangent there. Hopefully I hit all the marks that answered the questions. Let me know in the comments if you have any more questions. It is a big topic and it's got a lot to cover. If there's anything unclear, I do want to clarify it for you, so just leave a comment so that I can either make another video or just reply to you. Hopefully this concept was positive for you, and I'm never saying that what you're doing at home isn't right or wrong, because whatever works for your family works for your family, and that is amazing, and you're doing a wonderful job. I'm just sharing my approach, and this is what I do, and that works in my class. And for people that are struggling and are working through new routines and want to find something different, this might be an option. Maybe it's not, but maybe it is, and I wanted to share it. So hopefully that worked out for you. Have a good day. Bye, littles.